Hey, so Bill and Clista have been telling you about learning styles this week, and it was my turn to choose which learning styles I wanted to talk about, and of course I chose verbal learner because I'm a verbal learner. Really, when I think about what Bill and Clista wrote, I really have no idea what they're talking about because I'm such a verbal learner that I really don't get instructions very well. I don't really get into deep details and that kind of stuff when I'm reading. It's just almost hard for me to understand. I learn much better through the spoken word. I learn through songs and through hearing words, and I learn through what people say to me. I even learn through discussions. My wife and I have this big issue sometimes. She says that it's rude, and I say it's just the way I was raised. But I can have a conversation with someone at the same time as I'm listening to someone. A lot of times that's what a verbal learner does as well. A verbal learner can hear and listen at the same time. They often are chatty and they talk a lot. I don't, if you're around me very much, you know that's true of me. Verbal learners are very interested in your words. They're interested in hearing what you have to say, and they want to process that. A lot of times you'll hear verbal learners and you'll think, my word, what are they talking about? Or maybe it's really completely off subject when you're talking about something. They're really just processing. Verbal learners process out loud. So don't judge them too quickly and think, oh, that person's just weird or something. They're just thinking. They think out loud. Verbal learners are can be very powerful in the workplace. They can talk a lot. They're great for leading discussions. They're great for giving speeches, that type of thing. And verbal learners in the classroom are often sometimes behavior issues because we don't really tend to think that it's very respectful to be talking while the teacher's talking. And we don't provide enough discussions. So just think about that when you're thinking about your verbal learners in your classroom. Are they really being disrespectful, or are they just trying to learn? We make all types of concessions for people to learn as musical learners and artistic learners. Think about your verbal learner. Are you giving enough time for them just to talk in Sunday school? Are you giving enough time for them to think? I hope you are. I know that I try to in my classes. I think that being a verbal learner is helpful in my job as an editor because I think a lot about, does this make sense to me? When we're editing our products and that time, I'm like, how is this going to work? Because a verbal learner usually they're sort of the type of person that will read like a permission slip or read some directions, and then they'll come up to you and say, I have no clue what this is about. And you can tell them and they'll get it right away. They just don't have as much of the reading comprehension. They're more, if you'll tell them, they learn it. So I hope that you learn a little bit more about being a verbal learner, and I hope that you'll think more in your planning. How can I encourage talking in my classroom for those verbal learners? How can I encourage discussions? And also just be a little bit more sensitive when someone's talking and you're talking and maybe they're just processing. There's certainly a time and a place for you to be quiet and for you to listen and be respectful. But don't forget that sometimes they're just thinking.